Jeff the Killer versus the amazing Welland Spider-Man. It was a storming night. Jeff had just gotten finished doing his daily run. Hungry from everything, he looked at the dead girl he had just killed. Go to sleep, he laughed, licking the knife and everything. As the storm went on, not far from the town of where Jeff lived, we see an unfamiliar person swinging through the city. He's a very unparticular man. He opens up his road map trying to figure out where he is. Funny. It doesn't rain in Arizona. It certainly doesn't have an abandoned building just in the middle of nowhere. The Welland Transit gave me the right map for the U.S., but this clearly does not tell me I'm in Arizona. I'm in Sacred Heart. The masked man looks at his map and is not aware that something is behind him. Who the fuck are you? Says Jeff, just grinning at the masked man who's now looking at his map. Whoa, Jesus! The masked man turns around and sees that evil grin on his face. I'm sorry, but did you wander into the wrong countryside? Stuttered, the masked man decides to swing away. You won't get very far from me. Holy crap, is it Halloween or what? Said the masked man. Suddenly, a woman and her child are running in the rain. Look, Mommy, it's Spider-Man. Come on, honey, we gotta get home. This storm is getting worse. Wait, can you help me out for a second? I just kind of got freaked out back there. The woman and the child just ignore Spider-Man as they get into their car and leave. Wow, rude utter people. I am shaking here. I just saw a creep with a smile on his face, and he had blood dripping from his mouth and everything. And just then, Spider-Man feels a cold hand on his shoulder. Spider-Man tenses up as he turns around. But it's not Jeff. It's a man. He just stands there. And you help me. Spider-Man looks down and sees that the man has been torn in the chest. My God. What the hell happened to you, sir? All the man can say, it was him. I gotta get you some help. I'm gonna take you to the hospital. Spider-Man puts his map away. He shoots a long web line to the next building nearby. He wraps the man onto his back with his other web, securing the man, making sure he won't fall. Now hold on tight. I never carried a very, weak, bleeding man. And try not to bleed on my costume, okay? I just got it tailored. Spider-Man begins swinging along when all of a sudden he hears an utter scream. Ah! Not again. Another person. Out in the distance, Jeff is looking his knife again. Go to sleep. Spider-Man lays down the one injured victim behind a grate. Stay here, sir. That crazy man won't see you behind this grate. Whatever you do, don't scream. I am a superhero after all. I may not know this man, but I might be able to take him down. He can't be harder than Freddy Krueger. Spider-Man then begins to remember how he dealt with Gold Skull and all that. It's a piece of cake. All I gotta do is find some holy water and throw it on Jeff. Maybe then that moron will then pretty much, disintegrate into ashes and burn into fire. Far ways off from the screen, Spider-Man crawls on the walls, trying not to slip because the rain is running against the walls and making it slippery. He stops on the wall and sees Jeff still kneeling down by the body of a woman. She's still alive, but she's panicking. What do you want from me? Shh. I said go to sleep. Just from behind him, Jeff gets snagged by what appears to be a web line. What the fuck was that? He looks at the wall and sees the masked man he just faced earlier. Sheesh. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, man. Are you that bastard that cut that man open or something? Who the fuck are you? And why are you in my town? Listen, buddy, I have a present to deliver to my sister in Arizona from me and my friend back in Welland, Ontario, Canada. I was lost, okay? And you are a criminal going around and hurting innocent people. Spider-Man doesn't realize that what he is facing is not a mere mortal. You see, like the story goes, Jeff had a feeling in him when he was a teenager. He remembers Randy. He remembers the other kids. Keith. He remembers the day when he was burned. He was in the hospital. He remembers his brother Lou. He remembers his mother and his father. But Spider-Man did not know that Jeff was not just a mere person, but a demon. A monstrous, insane person that had gone insane from the day he was burned. You don't know me from these parts. By the way, I don't want your blood. Spider-Man jumps down in shock as he hears this. Why do you eat on blood for, you sick-minded bastard? I feed off of blood, you moron. Spider-Man doesn't know the actual Jeff himself, but he decides to ask Jeff if that is his name. I've been researching on the internet lately, and I learned of the name called Jeff the Killer. And your face. With an insane interruption, Jeff begins to laugh. That is my name. How did you know it? Have you been snooping at my business on the internet? Spider-Man observes the situation. He's got a victim behind the grate. He's got a victim by Jeff. He's got to act quick. Jeff continues to talk to Spider-Man while Spider-Man tries to think of a plan to save the innocent girl who's being held hostage. While Jeff is talking to me, I gotta figure a way to pull her away. She's bleeding badly. She's got a bigger wound than the other guy. The only problem is my cell phone doesn't work out here. I'm in the States. Although I'm gonna have to use my long distance charges and I have to make a phone call. I have 2 victims. I can only carry 1. Just then, a siren is heard. Catch you later, freak. Jeff runs off into the alley. Freeze! Yells a cop, coming out of the car. Spider-Man puts his hands up. I didn't do it, I swear to God. I'm trying to help these people. Keep your hands where I can see them, yells the cop. Another officer comes out, aiming his gun at Spider-Man. Another cop car pulls up behind Spider-Man. The chief gets out of the car. Funny, it's not Halloween, says the chief. Can you explain yourself at why these victims are bleeding to death? Spider-Man webs up the officers and leaves. Listen, you fucking cops never listen to me. Why don't they listen to me? Whatever. Take care of the victims. I'm out of here. Get back here, yells the one officer. Let him go, shouts the chief. It's bad enough we got an insane maniac going around killing people. Now we got a guy who can crawl on walls and everything. Are you out of your freaking mind? Says the officer. It's Spider-Man. Funny, says the chief. The Spider-Man we know in New York City doesn't look like the one we just saw. This one doesn't have a spider on his back. And his belt is not complete throughout the whole around his costume. His costume from his back to his boots is all blue. But the Spider-Man we know has red outlining along his shoulders and a big red spider. From inside the police station, we see rain falling down of everything. Says the officer, looking around. Funny. This is the amazing Welland Spider-Man, says the chief. What are you talking about, chief? Says the one officer, getting a cup of coffee, keeping himself awake. My son's a fan of this Spider-Man. I've always wanted to go to Welland, Ontario and visit this Spider-Man. But what's he doing here? Just then there's a big bang at the door. I'm gonna go take a look at the door, says the chief. Stay here. He creeps over to the door. He has his gun in his hand. The chief begins to shake as he asks the person's shadow out the door. Who is it? What do you want? It's me, the one who crawled up the wall earlier, says the voice behind the door. The chief unlocks the door. I warn you, if you are Jeff, I will open fire. I don't know what you're talking about. I am not Jeff, I swear. Can I please come in? I want to explain myself. The chief opens the door. There in the midst of the lightning is Spider-Man. The thunderstorm outside continues on. Spider-Man is seated at the desk of the chief. He then continues on to explain the whole situation of what's going on. So, you say you didn't kill that woman or that man. Chief, I swear to you, they were still alive. You could have saved them. What happened to them when I left and you guys scared me off? You should have never came to this town, Spider-Man. This town of Sacred Heart. It's home to a very nasty killer known as Jeff. Spider-Man rudely interrupts the chief as the chief is trying to explain the situation. Listen, punk, I already met him. I met him twice. I was standing in the middle of nowhere trying to read a map, trying to find Arizona, and my dear boy, says the chief, you definitely took a wrong turn. You've got to go back down that main highway. It'll take you back to the main bridge. You'll then come to a crossing where you see 3 signs. One sign is pointing to the north. That'll take you back to Canada. The other sign is pointing to the southwest. That'll take you to Arizona. My boy, you came to the southeast. Well, being web snappers, I knew I made a wrong turn, Spider-Man said, getting all frustrated and putting his hand in his face. What brings you to this town anyways? Said the chief. Like I said, Chief, I was on my way to go drop off this wonderful present from my friend and I. It's for our sister in Arizona. The chief begins to ask for the name, but Spider-Man discloses it. My sister doesn't want me talking about her to those that she doesn't know. And your friend, says the chief. She too doesn't want me to mention her name. She doesn't want, bozos and creeps and that to come after her. Especially that Jeff guy, Spider-Man said after a long pause. Back outside in the thunderstorm, we see Jeff wandering the streets, looking for that prey. Where the fuck did that guy who crawls on walls and shoots strings out of his hands and whatever, but where did that guy go? I need to feed on his blood. Lightning illuminates the police station not far from where our killer is about to enter. If I know superheroes, or at least that's what he is, I'll bet that fucking moron is over there. Well, yeah. I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna kill him. Inside the police station, the chief and Spider-Man are unaware of their dangers. When suddenly inside Spider-Man's head, he hears a ringing sound. Spider sense tingling. What's the matter, son? Says the chief. Chief, get into that closet now. Spider-Man runs into a closet and shuts the door. Wait a second, and Spider-Man locks the chief in the closet. Trust me, stay in there for your own good. I know it. Outside, Jeff is walking around the building. Come out, little spider. I can smell you. And it's time for you to go to sleep with everybody else. Spider-Man quietly opens the back door to the police station. His spider sense tells him that Jeff is not at the back door. He crawls up the building to the roof. Jeff begins bashing at the front door. Open up, you little shit! He breaks the glass window where the door is. Jeff is now inside the police station. He walks around. The lights don't work. From our distance in the closet, we can hear the chief desperately shaking inside the closet. He knows that glass noise was not Spider-Man that came back in. Oh God. That freak hears me in the closet. What if that guy who calls himself Spider-Man, what if the amazing Welland Spider-Man is not what I think he is? What if because he's pissed off at me, he leaves me for Jeff? Just then, the chief can see a shadow lurking behind the door. He sees the shadow moving, and he hears that voice. Go to sleep, says Jeff. Jeff begins tapping on the door for any signs of life with his knife. He jabs the knife through the door. The chief hides himself under some clothes so that Jeff can't pierce in and see him. Jeff pulls the knife out and looks through the little slit. I can smell you, he says. The chief gags himself with the clothes so he cannot scream. Just then, a loud bang behind Jeff goes off. It's some tables and chairs being thrown through the roof. Hey! Smiley face! Spider-Man shouts from up top the roof. Why don't you pick on somebody your own size? There you are, you little shit! Yells Jeff, keeping his grin on his face with his cut marks and everything that he made. Jeff goes back outside into the thunderstorm. He looks up at the roof, and he can't see him. Where are you? I'm up here, you jackass, yells Spider-Man. Come and get me. Alongside the building was an emergency ladder for when the officers needed to break the window in the ceiling to get out from a fire safety. Jeff admires this and climbs the ladder. To his surprise, Spider-Man's just standing there, not even running this time, not even shooting a web to escape. That's right, you monkey's asshole. Come at me. It's time for you to go to sleep, yells Jeff, saying his famous line. Uh-huh. I've heard that saying plenty of times in your videos, Jeffrey. Jeff gives an angry look in his blackened eyes, but sadly, he always has a grin on his face. Don't ever call me Jeffrey, yells Jeff. Jeff charges at Spider-Man with his knife. Ah! Spider-Man jumps over Jeff and nearly knocks him to the roof. Wow, do you crazy maniacs always land on your face? Spider-Man sarcastically remarks to Jeff as he falls on his face. That was a cheap shot, you little shit, Jeff yells as he tries for another attempt. Spider-Man grabs Jeff's arm and snaps his wrist. Jeff drops the knife. That fucking hurts, yells Jeff. I'm sorry, did I break your wrist? Back inside the police station, the chief does a very stupid move. He feels the need that it's safe to come on out and doesn't realize that two vigilantes are now on top of the roof fighting. He breaks open the closet door. He gets on the phone and calls for backup on his radio. Dispatch, I need every police officer that is on patrol. I repeat, I need every officer back to the police station ASAP. We have two vigilantes on the roof. I repeat, two vigilantes. Back on the roof, Spider-Man is still holding Jeff's wrist. I have two choices with you. I can throw this holy water on you that I purchased from a church on my way here, or I can kick the living shit out of you and make you bleed even more. Jeff just begins to laugh hysterically at Spider-Man's paractic jokes. You make me sick, Spider-Man. Spider-Man punches Jeff in the face and he lands on his back. Spider-Man throws the holy water and waits for the sensational screams and burns. But Jeff doesn't make a sound. Spider-Man stands there covering his ears and everything, waiting for the screams. He looks at Jeff, looks at the holy water, looks at Jeff again. But I don't understand. You're a fucking demonic demon. Why aren't you freaking crying in hatred and pain? I just threw holy water on you. You fucking overzealous idiot, Jeff yells. I'm just a nearly psychotic demonic person, you moron. I'm not a pure demon. Holy water doesn't hurt me. I haven't been killed and I never will. Spider-Man feels now that it's too dangerous to fight here. He lures Jeff down back to the ground. They run back into the abandoned building that was down a couple of blocks. Inside the abandoned building, Spider-Man is continuously crawling on the ceilings, and we can hear his thoughts out loud. I don't understand. I read all the books and everything. Holy water is the sacred key to destroying any demonic creature. It killed Freddy Krueger. It didn't kill Michael Myers. Michael Myers just got buried alive. It didn't kill Jason Voorhees either. But it killed Freddy Krueger. I don't understand. Jeff breaks down the door and enters the abandoned building. I'm gonna find you, you little shit, Jeff says, looking around the building. Shit! He's in the building! Spider-Man yells from the top of the ceiling. Spider-Man then finds a lit candle in the corner of the room. He has an idea. While Jeff is walking around, Spider-Man gets everything all prepared and ready. if I can somehow get this gasoline on Jeff and do a reenactment, maybe I can finally put this thing to sleep himself. But then Spider-Man remembers that he brought that same stuff that he faked his death the last time. Wait, I got it, says Spider-Man. Jeff is stupid. If I can somehow fake my death again, maybe, just maybe, I might make him think that I'm dead. Spider-Man gets to work quickly. Spider-Man opens up his costume and starts placing all these long blood bags inside of his costume. I'm gonna need more than one blood bag this time. Unlike Freddy Krueger, I'm gonna need more than one. He tends to rip people open. Jeff doesn't realize that Spider-Man's just in the next room. Through the dark hallways and everything, Jeff walks through the hallways, tapping his knife, trying to lure out the little spider. Just then, a crack of thunder can be heard outside. It illuminates the room. And right there in the ceiling, Jeff sees his prey. It ends here, you intruder of this town. This is my town, and when I'm hungry for blood, I will feed off of assholes and bitches like you, says Spider-Man, trying to insult Jeff. You maniacs are pathetic. Go ahead. Kill me. At instance, Spider-Man doesn't defend himself. Jeff starts stabbing the knife in all the parts of the costume where all the blood bags are. Blood starts squirting from Spider-Man. Spider-Man lets out a screaming pain of death. He falls to the ground. Wow, you are so pathetic, Jeff says. Didn't even put up a fight, just like how Randy used to taunt me, telling me to get up and fight. So of course, Jeff remembers how Randy did the same to him. So Jeff now does the same to Spider-Man. He kicks Spider-Man in the face. Spider-Man then bleeds real blood, because he didn't have a protection there. Come on, Spider-Man, yells Jeff. Fight me! Spider-Man lays there like lifeless. He doesn't move. It's like Spider-Man was waiting for Jeff to say his famous words, which were, go to sleep. But Jeff didn't want him to go to sleep. This was the first time in many, many victims that Jeff did not want Spider-Man to go to sleep. Although moments ago, he was saying, go to sleep. But now it's like he wanted to relive that day and beat the living shit out of Spider-Man. Just like how Randy was beating the shit out of Jeff. Come on, Spider-Man! He kicks Spider-Man in the head again. Spider-Man lets out a little yelp as to show he's still in pain of dying. Why don't you just kill me? Spider-Man says in a very dying, painful voice. I said get up! Spider-Man looks over at the corner of everything he has all prepped up. He has a web attached to sprayable gasoline and bleach. He has a candle that'll fall onto Jeff when time is right. Although this could happen in two ways. If Spider-Man makes a mistake, he too could end up burning himself, which will be a very painful death for Spider-Man. If he does it successfully, Jeff will then encounter the same reenactment of many years ago. Spider-Man opens one of his eyes because according to Jeff cannot see Spider-Man's eyes because the way Spider-Man's mask is, only he can see out. You cannot see in. Spider-Man looks up to his one fake dying eye. He's watching Jeff. Jeff is just circling him, laughing hysterically. Jeff keeps walking around, not knowing that his little prey on the ground has a scheme up his sleeve. Spider-Man thinks quietly to himself, just gotta wait till the right moment until Jeff is not looking. Finally, Jeff gives up by saying his famous words, "Go to sleep, Spider-Man." Jeff begins to start walking towards the exit of the room, when suddenly a crack of thunder and a windy storm outside begins to happen. Jeff gets startled by this, not knowing what the hell is going to happen next. He looks down to see Spider-Man. Spider-Man is gone. What? How could this be? I killed him. I killed him. Spider-Man waits on top of the side of the wall. He keeps urging himself encouragingly. Wait for it. Wait for it. Jeff comes into play, and Spider-Man pulls Jeff towards the trap. Jeff hits the web. It snaps, and the bleach gets sprayed all over him. Jeff lets out a cry. It's rubbing alcohol and bleach again. Spider-Man grabs the candle and quickly throws it at Jeff, setting him on fire. That is a very, very horrifying scene. I'm getting the hell out of here. Spider-Man runs from the abandoned building, leaving Jeff on fire. Spider-Man runs back out into the storm. He follows the path exactly as the police officer had told him. Okay, I gotta take that street back and I gotta get out of here quickly. If that fire goes out on Jeff, he could still be alive. I gotta get the hell out of here before my life's at stake. Spider-Man shoots 2 web lines and catapults himself out of there. Spider-Man starts swinging down that street, heading towards the main highway. Spider-Man is never seen again inside of the town of Sacred Heart again. Meanwhile, inside the abandoned building, the fire ceased on Jeff because the emergency sprinklers kicked on. Jeff looks lifeless. Police sirens are outside, going off. A couple of police officers run into the building. "Clear!" one shouts. "This room's clear!" another officer yells. "Man down! Man down!" one officer yells. The other officers fall in. Jeff looks horrifying. He still has the grin on his face. His eyes are black with that black lining around it. His pupils are staring dead eye into the officer. But they don't know if he's dead or if he's alive. The last thing that we hear in this tall tale of Jeff the Killer versus the Amazing Welland Spider-Man, the officer reaches down to get a pulse, and we hear the saddening sound of the knife jabbing into the officer. Go to sleep, Meanwhile, back in the old town of Welland, Ontario, Canada, Amazing Welland Spider-Man returns from his incredible journey. He is greeted by Jaden Wilson and Melanie Wilson. Hey, Wall Crawler, how was your trip? Jaden, you don't want to fucking know, says Spider-Man with a very shocked look on his face. Melanie looks at Spider-Man and asks him a question.
Why don't we want to know?
She asks, looking puzzled and kind of concerned. Melanie, if only you saw the horrifying sight that I've fucking seen in years of dealing with Freddy Krueger and all that, Spider-Man says. Jaden notices that he's shaking. Whoa, Crawler, you need to calm down and come sit in the car with me and Melanie and talk. Spider-Man gets into the car, still shaking. Melanie tells him it's gonna be alright.
It's gonna be okay.
She urges Spider-Man to tell them what he had saw.
You can talk to us. You can tell us what happened. We won't be scared.
Suddenly, Spider-Man does that insane laugh, and Jaden and Melanie are shocked. What the hell is wrong with you? Melanie is scared at this point. She tells Spider-Man to stop, that she's scaring him.
Stop, you're scaring me.
Have you seen a man that cannot be killed? Spider-Man says, shaking and not trying to be insane. Melanie hugs Spider-Man and it calms his nerves. She then tells him to calm down.
Calm down, Spider-Man, it will be okay.
Spider-Man takes a couple deep breaths at this point, and he begins to tell the tale of the scariest thing he's ever seen. Have you guys ever heard of Jeff the Killer? Spider-Man asks. Melanie puzzles and answers.
No, we haven't.
Jaden then takes off his sunglasses and smacks himself in the face. I know that guy, Jaden says. Melanie then looks over at her husband and doesn't look happy at what she's now hearing.
What do you mean you've heard of him, and why have I not heard of him?
Jaden then remembers and recalls of the TV news of Sacred Heart, and tells his wife of that scary tale. Well, rumor has it at one point, honey, that the police station of Sacred Heart in U.S., they actually had Jeff the Killer in psychiatric ward. They had him in a lockdown. Melanie nods. Jaden then continues. Well, it just so happens that his psychiatric went to go visit him in his cell, Jay explains. Melanie asks then what happened.
What exactly happened then?
She doesn't then like the answer that Jay gives, because Jaden was watching the news that night. Well, while you were sleeping, or I think you were tending to the children, he kind of broke out. Melanie lets out a scream. Spider-Man calms down Jaden's wife. It's okay. I think I killed him, Spider-Man says. No, you didn't, Jaden says. Melanie is starting to shake in the back seat of the car while holding Spider-Man and shaking. She urges her husband to shut up.
Shut up.
No, honey, but listen on the radio. And just then, on the radio, all three of them hear the creepy voice. And the creepy voice says exactly this. You shouldn't have left my town. I followed your blood trails. I'm coming to Welland, Ontario, and I'm gonna find you, and I'm gonna kill everyone you know. The end.